you know, you don't have to be that crazy about it. You do have to not get complacent, and you can't just sit back and let the opponent come to you. This is the strategy that a lot of people really seem to enjoy, especially in real-time strategy games where they think things seem pretty overwhelming. Wouldn't it be nice if I could just set up some sandbags, some AT guns, and lob artillery at my opponent? That would be a lot simpler than having to set up these assaults and these flanks and having to cover my tanks and stuff. I can just sit back and shell them from far away. Especially I can buy a really nice tank, and the front armor is going to be nice, so I can just shoot them from far away. And you know, you can do that, but that's really not what I would recommend. A lot of game modes are set up to really discourage that. This is why I don't play combat. Combat just turns into who can hide behind a hill and snipe people, because you just get points for killing, and you don't get points for like trying to kill. And so it's like, you know, it's kind of a very petty game mode. But in something like Battle Zones, you really need to secure the territory. You really need to get in there and take your objective. You need to be proactive about keeping the opponents from taking your objectives. And it's this very back and forth nature when both people get into it, and you have assaults and defenses and stuff like that. And it's very dynamic. It doesn't degenerate into this, like, you know, you lob a shell, they lob a shell, blah 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 blah. You get a lot more out of it. It's a lot more strategic, a lot more tactical, and frankly, if the other guy is pushing and you're not, he's unless he sucks, it's not going to pay off for you. You're probably going to get owned if they're pushing, and hopefully this game is going to be an illustration of it. It's a rather long game, something like 40 minutes, but hopefully we will see as time drags on that the dynamic posture favored by myself will win out against the Jabba the Hutt-esque tactics of my opponent. And I don't mean he's trying to freeze me in carbonite. I mean he's sitting on his fat ass and just being content with the point he has. I think this entire game you will probably never see anyone cross this little river we're looking at. And this river marks the halfway point between me and my opponent on the right-hand side. So meanwhile, my ally on the left doesn't have a river, but if he did, he would have totally crossed it. He would have been like way far past it. And even my ally in the middle is fighting at the middle point, which is you know, more hotly contested than the two side points, even though it's kind of even with him. Or than the one side point, my one side point. Yeah, my side point is closer to the opponent now that I look at this map. I didn't even notice while this was going on, but basically, yeah, mine is closer. Huh, that's funny. So it's kind of a weird map. There's a Hetzer. So the thing about the Hetzer is that it's a tank and destroyer, not a tank. It does not have a turret on top, so if you can knock out the tread, it's only going to fire basically in the direction it's facing. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm using my AT rifleman to try and take on the tread. Now the AT rifle, not a very powerful thing, but if you get lucky, you can knock out the tread. So I tell him to target the tread, and it's going to take him many shots, unless he gets super lucky to knock out that tread. If he even does knock out the tread, it's kind of a miracle no one's noticing. But look at that. Bam! Track damage. Hetzer is fucked, okay? Like, that dude is screwed with a capital screw. Because he can't turn the turret at all. As long as you're not stupid enough to stand right in front of him, you're not going to get killed. So very quickly he gets knocked out by a T-34, which can move in with a little fear of being destroyed. More accurately, little fear of being destroyed by the Hetzer. He got his ass blown sky high by one of those German infantry who just chucked something at him, maybe even laid dynamite. So I'm on a sniper a while ago. I put him in a tree. I'm not sure if you were watching. I set him to return fire, which is basically hold fire for a sniper, because no one's ever going to shoot at your sniper if he doesn't shoot first. And I'm just using him to scout. And the sniper's not is a fantastic scout. The only better scout than a sniper is an officer. Oh, I also bought a mortar. The idea was to use the sniper and the mortar and the AT gun, and those three would let me kill everything. The mortar for the infantry and the AT gun for the tanks. And look at, I'm shooting at this tank now. It's a Panzer III. I'm shooting at the treads. It does have side skirts, which are very good at defusing bazooka shots, because the way a bazooka works is that it like penetrates through with some sort of crazy liquid metal thing that I have no idea how they invented it back in World War II, but it's kind of it doesn't work so hot against side skirts, because it like sort of detonates on the skirt and then it tries to punch through it. It doesn't punch through very well. So side skirts very good against bazookas, not so great against AT rifle, because AT rifle can just shoot under the skirt, and AT rifle also not going to do any damage unless it hits the tread anyway, so it doesn't care about the skirt protecting the goodies. Trying to scout with my sniper, but that's a bit too far. So you also saw a mortar hitting that Panzer III. It's funny, he got out of the Panzer III to repair that side skirt, and my mortar just killed the guy who tried it. And so very smart on my opponent's side, not trying to repair it again, or he's not paying attention, which is likely what's happening. But if he had hopped out to repair it again, I would have just mortared that guy, and so on and so forth. Looks like my shell just hit the well, that was he drove too close, too fast, too far, and got hit by an AT grenade from one of my infantry who were in bushes. So that's right as my T-26 finishes getting repaired, just tried to get us knocked out by that explosion. But yeah, your infantry are smart enough to use AT grenades, so if someone drives in close to you, that's no good. So anyways, he got out to repair again, so this time I'm scouting with my sniper. It looks like he got back in. But if I just keep mortaring that tank and killing all the crew who get out to repair, eventually there's going to be no one left in the tank, and I could actually walk up and get in. Anybody could. That's the end of my T-26, by the way. Not much I could do. It was immobile. And when you're immobile, that is basically the kiss of death, which is why they call wheelchairs death machines. And if you've never heard that, just try it on one of your friends in a wheelchair, and I'm sure they'll be your friend for at least a couple minutes more. That might be too generous. Anyways, knocked out his tank, hull crushed, which means he can repair it. So I want to keep an eye on it. My plan at this point is really, I don't know what I'm doing with that tank. Like, it could go one of like 8 ways. All sorts of stuff could happen to the tank. I don't really care. The idea right now is obviously it's out of commission because its hull is crushed. He's trying to repair it. You see, I can just shoot over this hill, and I killed a tank crewman. I penetrated through the turret, but I did not kill the turret, so I continue to fire. Especially because another guy got back up into the turret to kill it. But anyways, right now he's repairing the tank, so it's not a threat. My plan is eventually either knock the tank out completely so that it'll never be a threat, or wait until he finishes, or he's about to finish repairing, kill all the people repairing it, run in, secure the tank, take the tank. I basically can't stop thinking about how to steal things. I'm like a kleptomaniac, but I don't take things in real life. I'm a digital kleptomaniac. Woo. Great. And, I haven't been pushing forward too much on the right. That's mostly been because I kind of feel like I have my hands full. The sniper never sees anybody, which means they're out of range, kind of behind the flag sort of thing, and so that's going to be really tough to move in on, especially because he's got all these tanks. Although I see that this house is blocking the tank, so I fire through the house. It goes through 2 houses and hull crushed. I have to say I was extremely proud of that. I just knocked a Panzer IV out through 2 houses. Although I pay for it with my ZIS-2, he manages to destroy it with some sort of explosive shell or something, lobbed from perhaps artillery. Wasn't really watching. But yeah, so at this point I figured, I've been sitting back long enough, time to take the fight even more to my enemy, and this is my submachine gun squad I sent over there to do it. Oh, and I bought a ZIS-2 immediately once I lost my original ZIS-2, because it's always nice to have an AT gun in the mix. There are a few times in Men of War when it's not useful to have an AT gun around, so there's a guy around the corner, so I'm crawling up. But you just see how many infantry he's got. He's just got one in like a bunch of bushes hidden everywhere, like behind houses, so this is going to be a long, laborious process of assaulting this point. And but you know what? It's what you gotta do. And just be glad it's not in real World War II, when assaulting stuff was even worse because people died, and sometimes there were rabbits, but rabbits weren't too bad. I don't think there were any rabbits in Men of War. I think the only wildlife is chickens. Perhaps there are birds, but chickens are very common in some maps. They're inside chicken coops, and you can actually pick them up, add them to your inventory, throw them at opponents, try and melee them with a chicken. The tactical advantages of a chicken are very few. I don't know how this bazooka got there, by the way. It must have been an ally, because Russians are the ones who get bazookas. They lend-lease from Americans, whereas the Germans were forced to rip off the American design, and rip it off they did. Those Germans, any things I could not invent as I could steal, yeah. But of course I think we ended up stealing more stuff from them, like all their rocket technology. Anyways, gotta be a Russian bazooka, so apparently my ally at some point sent a bazooka over to the right, and he died. Unfortunately, I guess I was not able to protect him. He might have died in the explosion that killed my ZIS-2, I wasn't really sure. So again, I'm scouting with my sniper in direct control. He'll basically reveal people even behind, like, cover, behind sandbags or anything, so like I said, I don't see a lot of people, so that means he's pretty far behind, so I'm worried. But I do see these 2 submachine gun infantry, so I open up on them from the other side of the bank, and all this time I have my mortar. One of the reasons I'm not pushing even harder than I am is because I have my mortar around, and the idea is to let the mortar shell them and soften them up for as long as possible before commencing the actual hand-to-hand assault, because those always go rather messily.